Today in YouTuber news, quick bites. We got a whole lot of fighting. Jake Paul has allegedly slashed Austin McBroom's Lamborghini tires. TikTok has issued a cease and desist over the TikTokers versus YouTubers boxing thing. And Logan Paul has survived some sort of pretend fighting match with champion Floyd Mayweather. I'm Benedict Townsend and this is YouTuber news, quick bites. All your YouTube news in bite-sized chunks. Not too filling at all. Our first story, in a completely candid and unscripted turn of events, Jake Paul has allegedly slashed the tyres of Austin McBroom's Lambo after a confrontation. The pair bumped into each other outside a building where Dave Portnoy and Josh Richards... I've got my braces in, I know it. They're making me talk a bit like an old man. The pair bumped into each other outside the building where Dave Portnoy and Josh Richards record their BFFs podcast. And as soon as some huge burly bodyguards had surrounded them to hold them back, and cameras had materialized out of thin air to capture every single angle, the two YouTubers started trash talking each other. The source of the heated confrontation was apparently Jake accusing Austin of cheating on his wife every weekend a few days earlier. Anyway, there's some general back and forth involving both men pretending their bodyguards are stopping them from getting close to each other, like they're hiding behind their dads. And before the scene suddenly cuts to an implied aftermath of people standing around saying out loud that Jake just popped this guy's tires. Oh my god, Jake just popped this guy's tires. And although the camera does zoom in to some very popped looking Lambo tires, there's no evidence of who did it or why. Anyway, I'm sure it's all a genuine, unplanned, unscripted YouTuber beef. I mean, who would go through all the trouble of planning out fights and narrative arcs and disagreements just for views and clicks? I mean... Who would even think to do that? Fights are real. Our second story. This week, a load of TikTokers and YouTubers, including the likes of Bryce, we team Bryce out here, on guard, and Jake Paul's best mate, Austin McBroom, are supposed to be going head-to-head in some sort of boxing match. Again, in another definitely not pre-planned and strategically orchestrated incident, Bryce Hall and Austin McBroom recently brawled during a press conference about the upcoming match. God, Austin cannot catch a break. He just keeps tripping and falling into these scripted fights. He can't help it, the poor lad. But now there's apparently some doubt about whether the matches will go ahead at all. In a report from Business Insider, the owners of TikTok have issued a cease and desist to LiveX Live, or Live Times Live, or Live 10 Live, the event organisers. The Insider report says that ByteDance, the parent company, have called for the event to be cancelled as they're not happy with TikTok's name and branding being included in the promotional materials for the event, which could imply some sort of endorsement or sponsorship from the platform, of which there is none. Now, as someone with a law degree, and I hate to bring this up all the time, but you've twisted my arm, I do have a law degree, I can confirm that it is fairly standard practice, so it wouldn't be surprising if it was true. I actually spoke about this a little bit more on this week's edition of the YouTuber News podcast, so if you haven't checked that out already, you can find it on all good podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, the Google one, even Spotify, Global Player, and I get even more into the weeds about this. But you don't have to be a lawyer to understand that if you've not asked TikTok's permission to use their name, they're probably going to be a bit annoyed about it. Thank God all those years in law school have finally paid off. And finally, in a shocking turn of events, Logan Paul survived a boxing match against champion Floyd Mayweather. Not much else to say about that one, really. That's kind of the whole story. But Logan did say in his post-match interview that he's going to pick his next opponent on Twitter. So, as long as you don't all tweet him saying his next opponent should be me, then we'll be fine. Please don't do that. I don't want to have to kill another man. Not with these. That's all for today. If you haven't already checked out our mini-series chronicling the most treacherous and betrayal-filled lore in YouTuber news history, i.e. everything to do with the rat, check it out on YouTube. There's 3 parts, 2 of them are already online, and they're really action-packed, and they almost make sense. And in the meantime, please like and subscribe. They mean the world to us. And don't forget to leave us a whole bunch of comments down below as well, because we love to read them. On guard! I'll see you on Friday with another installment of YouTuber News, the main show. But until then, if you're walking down the street and you see Austin McBroom, please leave him alone. He must be exhausted, the poor boy. Why am I holding my arm so weirdly? It's like I'm doing a trust exercise with myself. Do I trust myself? Trust no one, especially yourself.